Y'all. Welcome to the First Day Out podcast, the podcast where we'll be interviewing formerly incarcerated individuals. We're going to cover a little bit of everything on this podcast. We'll talk about what landed them in prison to begin with, what was the experience they had while there, what was the lessons that were learned while there, but most importantly, we're focused on what do you plan to do to make sure you never go back? What does the future hold for you? I'm your host, Katia, a criminal defense attorney here in the state of Florida. I'm passionate about justice, rehabilitation, and second chances. We'll be interviewing Eon today. He's going to be our guest. But before we get into the interview, we start each segment with not legal advice, where I'll give you a legal gem, but it's not legal advice because I do not represent you. The legal gem that we have for today is a little bit about the stand your ground law in the state of Florida. So, when it comes to the stand your ground law, what we all know is you do not have a duty to retreat. Most people in Florida are familiar with this because of the George Zimmerman trial. Well, there's a difference. You actually do have a duty to retreat if they feel like you are in the process of committing a crime. So, for instance, say you're a convicted felon and you're not supposed to have a firearm or a concealed weapon. You now have a duty to retreat before you can defend yourself. So you can use that deadly force, but you have to do everything to make sure that you did everything to escape it before you kill the person or before you shoot the person. So when it comes to standing your ground, remember, make sure you're not committing a crime or you do have that duty to retreat. That's your not legal advice gem for today. Now, we're going to go ahead and get into our interview. Again, I told you all I'll be interviewing Eon. Eon is from Polk County. I'm not going to do too much to introduce him because I'm going to let him introduce himself. So go ahead, Eon. You can tell us a little bit. Tell us about yourself, where you're from, and how long you've been free.
Okay. My name is Elon Lomax. I'm born in Lakeland, Florida. I was raised in Fort Meade, Florida, a little small town. It was family oriented, everybody was together, whatever, and things like that. I grew up, real quick. I was put into, a situation. I got married at 17 years old. Had 4 kids by the age of 23. So I was always in the street. Um, so that's all I knew was the street life. So in and out of jail, things like that. And I wasn't familiar with crime until criminal knowledge until I sat down with a couple guys and we started looking into the legal system and
Got
stuff.
you. So when you sat down with these guys, was that while you were incarcerated?
Yes, while I was incarcerated.
Okay.
We had a friend, it was a Spanish guy, and he started telling me about, he had life, but he came back, gave it back. So I was in there for disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, minor stuff, because I was young, and he was telling me the loopholes, and you can get away with this, you can get away with that. So I actually started trying to beat the system.
So let me ask you something. When you encountered this guy and started to speak to him a little bit more, was this the first time you were incarcerated that
Yes,
happened?
the first time.
Okay, and how old were you then?
I was 17 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming if you encounter him, were you charged as an adult? Is that
Yes.
how you ended
because
up?
the next week I turned 18, so it's like they charged me as an adult. So,
Got you, got
right.
you. So that was the first time you went. How long were you there?
I only stayed 25 days.
Oh,
25,
okay.
yeah. So
And in that little time, you started trying to learn how to beat the
automatic
system.
off rip, because you hear all the time the system is corrupt. So and a
Yeah.
lot of guys tell this, and by me being in the street, they was like a lot of guys have been in prison. Back then, you go, the murder was 25 to life, but you're 25, and then you only did 5 years, 7 years, and you was home. So I was accustomed to being around these guys. These guys was in the street. I'd be like, man, you do this here and this and that, but they was right back. So I was like, okay, I know the lifestyle that I'm living, so I need to try to get up on the system, So
Oh, okay.
I thought that I could.
So after that time, when you went that first time and you ended up trying to learn how, when was the next time that you had an encounter with the the
Well,
criminal justice system, I'll say?
and I had a trafficking charge.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I can say a
You went
name.
from minor to big, huh?
Major. Yeah, so if you're gonna do something, I'm gonna say if you're gonna be a butt, be the biggest butt it is, you know what I'm saying? So I went and I got caught trafficking MDMA, methamphetamine, or methadone, methamphetamine, and I stayed in there for 10 months.
How old were you then?
I was 28.
Oh, okay. So it was a good amount of time in between. So let me ask you something. You said you had your first encounter at 17.
Correct.
Prior to that, what do you think introduced you into getting into trouble? Like you say, you came from a family oriented background, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean your mother and your father was involved in your life and all of that good
Well,
stuff, or was it just your mother? Or
at the time, my mom, but my mom had, as I say, it's small. If you know the town called Fort Meade, shout out to Fort Meade. You know what I'm saying? It's everybody is family.
Everybody know everybody.
Everybody is cuz, bruh, sis, and so it was all that. So they showed what a family was.
Gotcha.
Okay, but I was around this guy. He ran the whole city, and at the time I was with them. So it was like, okay, this is Bebe's son. That was my mom's name, Blue Eye Bebe. I was her son, and everybody liked it, my mom, so they took me in. So I branched off.
Yeah, it became easy too.
Yeah, it was
easy to
simple,
go
yeah.
ahead and fall into that. I understand that. So between 17 and 28, when you got in trouble again, would you say you were practicing that beating the system that you had learned?
That was it.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
So we'll say 28 is when you got caught for something again.
Correct.
Got you.
Yeah.
So and you did 10 months. What ended up happening with that case?
I end up I got the lawyer, Julia Wilson. I hired Julia Wilson. Julia Wilson went to court, and she, I guess, I'm just be real. The system, I guess, is I owe you, you owe me, and so she needed a favor, and they was okay. They end up giving somebody else for me, and okay, boom, and
now I'm gonna pause you because I'm the attorney and me gotta pause you.
Right.
How you know they switched you out?
Because
how you know that?
my charge was they had a guy. He was in there for murder. He had the evidence because everything was there, and she was explaining the cases, and you sitting in this room, and everybody's there listening to what's going on. So I'm like, how did he beat the murder charge if they got the forensics, they got the evidence? So now I'm like, wait a minute. So I go to her, hey, I got this amount of money. He didn't pay. I can do this. So they end up dropping. They did the test at the time the week before. The law had went in 18.18 grams was considered trafficking or more. And I came in a week before. So it was lesser. So they charged me as a lesser than trafficking, and it was a possession.
Well, we're not gonna put this on the attorney reputation that she switched anybody out. We're gonna say that the law worked in his favor.
Okay, we'll say that. Yeah, we'll say that. But it did, and I end up getting 3 years probation.
Okay.
And I violated the probation. I wasn't trying to do I'm just being real. You in the streets, man. We talking about criminal justice. So I was in the streets. I wasn't trying to do nothing.
And honestly, a lot of times we say probation is a setup.
That's
when
all.
You have a client that is in the streets, we try to make them take time before we make them take some probation because we already know what's going to happen.
But that's what she was saying. She was like, and I'm just, again, me, myself, I speak the truth. I'm real. I had the whole package still. And they only got a portion. So my thing was to get home. I could have because it's 3 years. It's a year and a day. I did 10 months already. All I had to do was just go get a number and come back home at the time. And so I ended up going back, getting the package again, and then I ended up violating. So I still ended up with a year and a day.
The same time you would have got
it. You know what I'm saying? But I wasted time, more money, and I turned myself in.
So I'm gonna pause you. That was the first time you went to prison?
First time.
Let me ask you something. The very first time you went to prison, when you walked through those doors, what was your first thought? Because it's a difference between prison and jail.
Correct.
Right?
Big difference.
So when you went to prison, when you found out you had to go, and you're walking through those doors, what was your first thoughts that went through your head?
Again, truth. I was like, man, how much time I got to do? Because you hadn't calculated the time yet. I hadn't realized the time that I had. So I was trying to figure the time. And then by me seeing everything that's going on, like guys like, hey, this, they've been there before. So they're trying to tell you, they know they're reading you. When you go to prison, people read you as soon as you come in the door, even the officers read you. So the officers stand in the booth and then they're like, hey, y'all get down this. And I'm looking like, man, this is weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so the first thing I thought about was, man, I can't do this again. I'm being for real.
Yeah.
And it kind of hit me to the point. I just started really thinking, man, this ain't you.
And by this time, you already had 4 kids, right?
Well, yeah, they was already up there in age.
How old were they?
At the time, I think Duke was 11. That's my daughter. Duke was 11. My son was 8. My other daughter was 7. And my other daughter was 6. So they back to back, So.
Oh, okay. Well, it was only a year and a day the first time, so you didn't have to leave them for too long.
No.
Did people bring them to see you? Were you
No.
able to keep in touch? Any of that?
Well, I did keep in touch, but after everybody realized the time, they was like, man, you ain't finna be in there with like 2-3 months. You know what I'm saying? So I left in December 1st and I came home March 26th.
Gotcha.
So it was no, and me myself, I don't when I get incarcerated, I don't want my family to be there. But later on, I'm explaining that's important. Because change from what you used to do to what you trying to do, you need those that's out there to help you. So it's that.
So the most recent charge that you went in for and got out, what happened with that charge?
Okay, again, I'm not blaming nobody, the system, but it was like they needed a case. This case went on for 2 years, and I had 14 charges. A bunch of aggravated assaults, possession of firearm, possession of ammunition. But if you knew the law, that if you have a gun and ammunition, both are the same thing. But you charge me separately to add points. That's what it's about.
Okay.
So I went to trial on, again, if we talking about the stand your ground, I tried to use that as a defense.
Let me pause you.
All right.
Because I know you told me what happened.
Right.
But we have to tell the people what happened and why you tried to use standing ground. That's actually why I use that for the legal gem of the day, because of the conversation that we had.
Okay.
You tell them.
Let's break it down. So I was in a relationship with this female. And the female owed me some money, stole some money from me, and I was kind of pissed about it, And no, this is the first time I really ever came on and told what happened. Because in court, nobody never asked. They just, you're guilty.
Right.
So she stole some money. She owed me some money, didn't pay it. And I got into it with her, and we got an altercation where I tried to pull her out get out my car. Get out my car. This is done. You know what I'm saying? It's over. And she called her brother. And the brother came to the house. He brought a weapon to the house, and I disarmed him, and I got arrested for numerous charges. And I went to court, and they was like, we're gonna throw the one judge was like, we're gonna throw this out. This seemed like a family affair and this and that, but it kept going. It turned from 6 months to 2 years.
When you say 6 months to 2 years, you mean the case prolonging, or was it offers they were making you, or any of that?
Never offer.
Did you bond out?
I couldn't. I had no bond.
So you was sitting this whole entire time.
And the victim, the female, came to the visitation. That's a violation, because if you got a case, you can't come. And they sent subpoenas out, and the subpoenas, it was nobody was responding. They was telling, we don't want to prosecute the case. But the state attorney kept pushing, and pushing and pushing, and I went to trial. I'm innocent.
Okay, so did you have a private attorney or a public defender?
I had a regional counsel. My personal attorney quit.
Got you.
So I had to go to, there was no, again, family is important, but I had no way to get into my money.
I understand. And I just want to clear this up. Regional counsel is a court-appointed attorney. Correct. It's something like, instead of the public defender, they'll give you regional counsel. They also work for the government. You also sometimes can maybe get, well, no, that's just what it is. It's a court-appointed attorney. Right. They sign up and say that they'll take some of the cases. Sometimes we might have a conflict when it's a co-defendant, different things like that. So you'll end up with regional counsel.
And speaking of that conflict, this is why I say the criminal system. The victim, the
Mm-hmm.
guy that I had the charges against, he had a case going on.
I figured it was a conflict. That's how you
Right,
ended up with regional
right.
counsel. That's why I said that.
So his case got dropped, but
Hmm.
they pursued my case.
Right.
So I couldn't understand. I'm like, how is they keep going with the case and the victim, and even though everybody was like, I don't want no part of it
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't directed to me; it was directed towards him.
Mm-hmm.
I went to trial,
Mm-hmm.
standing ground law. My attorney, well, regional counsel, was there continuously and was doing a good job. And I was in the law,
Mm-hmm.
continuously because I had people, hey, I need you to look this up. I need you to look this up. Stand your ground is because of this. If a crime is being committed, as you said, you know what I'm saying, and you use force to stop something, that's stand your ground.
Now, what was the crime that they said you were committing to stop you from being able to use stand
They
your
said
ground?
that being that I pulled her out my car in Kissimmee, that's another county.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in Polk County, but that's another county. Me pulling her out the car, telling her to get out because you didn't pay me my money, was a right that he could come with the weapon.
Mm.
But that right there is um, premeditated
Mm-hmm.
because you came already to do something before you got there.
Got you.
So the altercation happened,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So bailiffs, everybody's in the courthouse, in the courtroom, like, yeah, you got it, right? After they hearing the evidence and
Yeah.
stuff, and they even told the victim and the family, you can go, we're gonna sentence him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, but the offer before they sentenced me was 10 years prison, 8 years probation,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, man, I ain't doing that. I'm not guilty.
Right.
This is my house. This is my residence because they asked the question, who has the keys to the place? That's
Mm-hmm.
important.
Right.
And he wasn't offered to be over there. He came.
May I ask, during your trial, did you testify on your own
I
behalf?
testified and
Okay.
explained what happened,
Mm-hmm.
what was going on. I said I didn't try to harm him. I just tried to, what I'm saying, defend myself.
Got you.
So and they was like, okay, and they came back and it was like 8 years in prison,
Mm.
3 years probation. I'm like, wait, this is my house. You just implemented the stand your ground law just a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is my place, not knowing that it was clause behind it.
Right.
And after later on, I learned me being a
Mm-hmm.
felon, it didn't apply to me.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that until after I went to prison and got into the law. So I had a chance to come back on appeal, but I took another plea deal with some more cases, charges that I had. And if I came back on that plea deal, I
It would
would have
withdraw your plea from everything because
right,
you took it would ended up sentence you
right.
globally and running
So
concurrent.
they attached both.
I
That was
understand.
the deal. 8 years prison, 3 years probation, both together. If
Mm-hmm.
they separated, which I had grounds to come back on, then you take away the trial. Okay, we'll take away the trial. That's why I say criminal. You have to learn what you're doing with crimes. Pay your attorneys. You know what I'm saying? Pay your attorney, being
Right.
for real. Because I would have came back and I would have got more time for the other charges.
Mm-hmm.
The other charges was just to stack points.
I
So
understand.
that's what it was about.
Okay, I understand. So this time you were there for 8 years.
I did 7 years head up.
What was the biggest difference between this time and the first time outside of the amount of time you stayed?
The last time,
Mm-hmm.
well, I couldn't go home like I wanted to, but no, it was an experience due to the fact I kept saying I didn't supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing that year after year, and they was like, hey, you inmate, come here. And I'll be like, yeah. It was like, what you here for? And I tell them, they be like, that's not you. Because
Mm.
I am a loner. I like
Okay.
to be by myself, but and I didn't stand out. So it was a learning experience by sitting down, looking at others in there. I was looking at different guys and go to them and what you in here for, man? Oh, I got life. I did this, but I wouldn't have done this. And this is one thing that's very important. If you stop just for a second and think,
Mm-hmm.
you a lot of those guys wouldn't be in prison because it was a split second decision that turned their life to life,
Yes, I
life in
agree.
prison. So
Mm-hmm.
I learned that, and the young guys, I sit and look at the young guys that was in there, and I learned from them,
Mm-hmm.
even as I'm young. So that's what I really learned is just it was different because everybody didn't come from a home like I did.
I understand. So let me ask you, I know it's prison, but what would you say would be your daily routine?
Okay, me myself again. I feel I'm special, but and my daily routine would get up early in the morning.
Hmm.
I had to be at work. I was a maintenance man, painter and stuff like that. I had to be to work at like 7, 8 o'clock. So,
Can
my
I pause you really quick? When
yeah,
you initially went, you were able to be a maintenance man, or was that after a while of good behavior, not getting into anything and all of that,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then you was
yeah,
able to
yeah,
get a
yeah.
job?
The first job I had, I'm just be real, it was the kitchen. I knocked the dude out in the kitchen. I didn't, I was being for real. You get this time and it's angry. It was
Hmm.
angry inside me because I hadn't done anything.
Right.
I'm innocent.
Hmm.
And so I want, the first, like I got the first month, I seen the dude get stabbed. He got stabbed to death.
Hmm.
And it was all because the guy was angry.
Yeah.
And so anger was in me
Hmm.
every day. I wrote a church song. That's
Hmm.
a church rap song. You know what I'm saying? I said, I stayed ready to fight. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Which I did. Anybody said something, I want to knock them out. And 9 times out of 10, I did that.
Got
But
you.
over the years, the older guys be like, Jitty boy, you can't fight your whole life all your
Hmm.
life. So
I have a question. How long would you say you went through that phase of that anger and fighting whenever the least, because sometimes the least little thing is triggering when
right.
you just have
Yeah.
it in you, you
Yeah.
know? So, like, how long would you say that phase went on before you realized I need to transition because this only making my time harder, if we being honest, right?
I'm gonna be honest. And this, hey man, everybody, y'all know what prison is about. Just being for real. 2018, um, October 2018, I had got my little mini phone. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that was my only means of communicating and transitioning, making my money, doing my thing, what I was doing. So I had to realize that you can't be going in and out of the box with what you got going on.
Got
So
you.
I kind of can't say I didn't humble down. I just backed down,
Mm-hmm.
because I knew what was important for me doing what I was doing. So I started changing, you know, the things I was doing, the people who come around, and that's when I just is 2018, like
Got
for
you.
real.
And how long had you been there?
I had been there like a year,
Okay.
like
So
almost a year and a half. So
you just had to get it out your
I had to
system.
get it. Yeah, yeah.
That's all
That
that
was it.
was.
That was it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Just a phase.
What would you say was the most difficult part of your incarceration?
Being away from my kids.
Mm.
I had just gotten to, like I said, I was a street guy.
Hmm.
Ran the streets, did what I did, but I was going to get all my kids and bring them because I got kids from different moms. So I was bringing them together. And we had unity, and then it was just that's why I was kind of angry. You just took this away from me. It's not the property. I think
Hmm.
I had a house, 2 cars, motorcycle. I was doing good. I had plenty of money, but it wasn't that. It was my kids.
Right.
You know,
Would you
that's
say that you think that they were the ones affected the most by you leaving?
yes. They
Hmm.
still are.
Yeah.
They still are. Just being
How has it been trying to rebuild that relationship?
tough. Honestly, tough.
What's the
Just
toughest part about it?
I'm still on probation,
Mm.
so I can't travel. My son stays in Bradenton. My
Oh, okay.
daughter stays in Tampa. My other daughter stays in Georgia. My daughter stays in Lakeland. So
Oh,
it's
it make it harder
yeah,
to be able to see everybody. I
yeah,
understand that. Do you feel like you're in the process of getting to know them again also because they're so much older? Because the adult them and the child
right.
them is a lot
That's
different.
that's a whole different thing.
Right.
When a child, you can, uh, oh, dad is this, that, this, and that. Okay, dad. Okay, but this is the adult that you're talking to, adult, and I have 11 grandkids.
Mm.
So it's not a child anymore. You're
Mm-hmm.
talking to an adult,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Well, what happened?"
Right.
And how can you explain to them that I felt like money was more than you?
I I got you. Do
Like
you feel like they feel angry?
I know they are.
Got you.
Just being for real, they are.
Mm-hmm. Um, how do you think that you will be able to mend that? Is it just a day by day process and just trying, like, because some things you just have to trust the process and let
Right.
it flow, and you do your part, and hopefully they'll be receptive or whatever it is. Is that how you're approaching it, or do you, especially for right now when you
Right.
can't even travel?
Well, I contact them. We talk. They understand.
Mm-hmm.
They're like I said, they're adults, so they understand the situation, what happened, and they understand what's going on. And I kind of remind them, hey, I made sure everything was what it was
Yeah.
before this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And and now that I'm here, like, okay, I got to get myself back together
Yeah.
again, the family. And if I hadn't blocked them out while I was in prison, probably be different. But I didn't
Mm.
want nobody. I shut everything away.
Okay, so that's what I was about to say. I know you said that you didn't really want your family to
Right.
see you there. So was it more so they weren't coming because you didn't want them to come?
Yeah, I didn't want nobody to come. My son came, but at one time, and it just was so awkward. I just felt like, I didn't want to know.
I understand that. Just from personal experience of
Right.
going to visit my dad when he was in prison. The first time I went, honestly, I didn't even know who he was when he walked out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to, I know your family wasn't there. You didn't want the kids there, but what about the other people, your mom and people like that? You didn't want nobody.
Well, my mom, my mom is she's deceased.
Hmm.
But when I was incarcerated, in and out, my mom used to say this. She had a saying. She said, "What grass is growing on your feet before I come see you." You know what I'm saying? But
Because she knows she taught you better than that.
right, yeah, because my
Hmm.
mom was a church lady. That's
Hmm.
all she did was go to church, and I that's all I do. I was doing it then and still do it now. Go to
Hmm.
church, but being in prison this time did
Hmm.
something totally different because I realized that inside of you we all are led by evil, but that is the whole point of being whoever you call. I call God, and
Hmm.
whoever you call, where but that is the point for you to take control of
Hmm.
yourself. You know what I mean? And that's what has humbled me down was God Himself.
For
You
sure.
know. And I don't want to say, 'cause some people get offended, but this
No.
me. I
Yeah.
know what I've been through,
Hmm.
and if it weren't for God on my side, I wouldn't be right here right now
Amen to that.
because this ain't the only thing
Hmm.
that I was arrested for home invasion, 2 batteries with a home invasion. If anybody know about those PBLs,
Yeah, that was before you went in
that
for
was
this.
before because the
Mm.
grace of God was continuously. My mom used to pray for me, and I was doing things, and somebody had took something from me, and I kicked the door in and went in and got it and beat both of them in the house. And and I'm not just talking. You can look the record up, but it was no PBLs. So
Right.
the man said you can get 75 years,
Hmm.
but by the grace of God, at the time I was singing in with Pastor Mike Clark Jr. and outreach singers. I was doing that, and he went and he was praying for me. Came to the jail, prayed for me. I had the scars. I was. It was me.
Yeah.
They had evidence,
Hmm.
and I was out in 26 days.
Good.
2 months the charge was dropped.
Well, look at
So
that blessing of you getting out, and we still ended up.
it's still because you continue to thinking that nothing can happen to you.
Yeah.
That's all.
So I know your family wasn't coming. Did you stay in touch with any of the friends or anybody that you
No,
had?
no friends.
Did
My
anybody
sister.
even try to stay in touch with you?
Yes, yes. I had one friend. That's my boy.
Okay.
My boy AD. You know what I'm saying? Miami. Florida State, really, but he's from Miami. But you know what I'm saying. So he always would check on my kids and make sure I was straight. With the day that I got out, I was on the way home, and me and my girl, which is my fiance now, I was doing a video on Facebook, and I was letting everybody know I was home. He called. It
Hmm.
was like anything you need, just let me know.
Good. That's a good
Yeah.
friend.
So and I had my sister Lisa Duncan, and my brother-in-law Norman. They always I don't care what it was, money, money, money. He kept coming, phone calls and
Hmm.
stuff. So it was it was more like you got to forget your pride.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Yeah,
got to
I
drop your
understand it.
pride.
Humble
Yeah,
yourself
yeah.
because really all you have is the people that's there
That's
for
there
you.
for you, right?
I understand that. So I know this gonna sound like a crazy question, right? But can you name any one good thing about prison? And let me tell you what I mean by that. You see how you just said that if it wasn't for the grace of God. Some
Correct.
people find God in prison. You told me you already had God, you
Right.
know. Some people learn that maybe I shouldn't be so much of a hothead, or they find different things in prison. Was it any lesson that you feel like you learned in prison that you was able to hold on to that to help to make sure when you were free that you could keep moving forward in life and not look at that part of your life again?
What got me was the library and the chapel.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. The library was because I could look up research, and at the time I was trying to start a business.
Mm-hmm.
That's all in my mind. That's all I like to do. Business, money. Just sorry, but
What type of business?
I was trying to start a box truck business.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to start researching on the box truck, and I would call home. I talk to my fiance, I'd be like, "Hey, I need you to let this up. I need you." And she was like, "Oh, I got this friend, and he can. Oh, okay, I'll do this here when I get home."
Okay.
And that's what kept me motivated, was to get out and just show my kids, everybody, that hey, this is not happening to me.
Right.
Prison didn't take nothing from me. It gave something to me, because it gave me determination. It gave me a drive and a willpower from continuously hearing captains, wardens, "Man, you don't belong in here, bro. You ain't that type of dude," and they look at my record, be like, "Man," I'll be like, "Yeah, you just don't know me." You know what I'm saying? But but that's the part that, they always say, "Man, you can take the gangster out the street, but you can't take the street out the gangster." No,
Mm-hmm.
you can't. But you can humble that down to what, how road is rough,
Right.
but you can smooth the road. But
Mm-hmm.
one thing about it is what? It's still
To the
a
road.
road. You see
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
I
So
got you.
yeah, so that's how you would do. I'm just me,
Okay.
and everybody has them, and it's inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
But to contain it, that's the part of being an overcomer. That's what prison has taught me, the good thing out of it.
I love that for sure. So, since you took those lessons, when were you released?
I was released this year, February the 17th this year.
Okay.
Right.
And now tell me about it. Tell me what's new. What's new in life?
Okay.
What have you
All
done
right.
since you've been released? We making sure you're not going back. So when you first got out, tell me what you did.
All right. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about that. February 17th, I got out.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a hotel, and we had fun. And, me and my fiance, well, at the time, she was my girlfriend. Me and my fiance, her sister, she has a twin. We all hung out. They took
Mm-hmm.
me out. They just let me just have fun. And I want to say this. I came home to nothing. I want all y'all who in prison see this, or whoever. I came home to no clothes. I came home to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hurt because I thought I had it.
Yeah.
I just knew I had it.
In the life you were living before that, you had everything you
It was
needed.
supposed to be in the
Right.
storage, and I
Oh.
realized when I got home, everything was gone.
Mm.
So I kind of, like, for a week I went through.
Right quick, I'm sorry to cut you off. How did you meet your fiance? Did you all know each other before you were incarcerated, or would you meet
Correct.
years?
We met back in 2012.
Okay.
I was, we was kicking it, having fun and stuff like that, and we separated.
Mm-hmm.
It was nothing. It was just mutual separation. And I'm again truthful. I was a dog. I was doing what I wanted to do. I'm just being
Mm-hmm.
for real. And we kind of like went out, because we had different lives.
Yeah.
So I really didn't care about no relationship.
Mm-hmm.
No, no. That's what the issue was with my kids, because I never liked it to bond with anything.
Got you.
Nothing. So
Got
it
you.
was all about money. So
So how long were you in there before you all reconnected?
um funny part is, right at the end in October, I was
Okay.
at church, and I had just sung a song I had sung, and the guy came to me. He was like, "Hey," he say, "Man, I'm gonna tell you." Matter of fact, she met him
Mm.
2 weeks ago. He said, "Hey," he say, "God got something for you." He said, "Because you've been faithful." He said, "This time you've been here." He said, "He got something for you. He got a ram in the bush for you." He said, "But you got to continue to hold on when you get out of here."
Mm-hmm.
And I went back in my bunk, and I pulled my phone out. My bunker had it. He already had it. So I said, "Man, let me see my phone, man, right quick." And I went on Facebook, and I seen a picture, and I hit the page, but it wasn't. The page was closed.
Mm-hmm.
So I contacted the sister,
Look at you trying to slide in these DMs.
Hey,
Hard. I had to contact somebody else.
Listen. See, no, and we talked about this. I told her I had plenty. I had the time. I had plenty of people. I was, coming females, but and I tell her to this day, it's just something about when I talk to her.
Mhm.
It was like supposed to be.
Gotcha.
It was supposed to be, and I did away with everybody else around December.
Mm-hmm.
So it was October we connected.
Mm-hmm.
December I did away with everybody.
Okay.
And to this day we're engaged.
I love it. I love it. And she made sure you was good. You got out. They took you to have a good time. Right. Yeah, okay. So we having a good time. We partying it up. Then what?
Okay. I told her we talked for we was talking and we moved together. We end up rekindling. And I'm gonna say this, I gotta say this. Everything I have today is because of her.
Mm.
From the money to the clothes, the job, everything I have. Just bought a truck, but I bought it for her, not me, her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I did everything because she was there.
Yeah.
See, and both of us are church oriented. She's been in church her whole life, and so her, when they say when God comes together, He bonds something together. It's blessed.
Mm-hmm.
By me being the head and she followed me, I'm blessed, and it goes down. It runs down. Mm-hmm. So I'm the head, and then it flows through her.
Yeah.
Right. So I got clothes. I'm gonna just break it down, explain what has been going on and what happened.
Okay.
So February I got out. I went looking for a job, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do the job. Let's go get my CDL license. Ran across the school. Mm-hmm. One day we was enrolling her son in school, and when we was enrolling her son in school, I seen the school. I was like, that's a CDL school right there. So I wonder what they take. I called the school. Mm-hmm. They told me, come now, we want $4,500, but it's $5,500, and we'll take this amount down. So I'm like, I don't got no money. That's the first thing I seen. Got no money. My family ain't gonna give me no money. Mm-hmm. So she was like, babes. I was like, what? She was like, I'll give you the money. Me, myself, my pride.
I was just about to say, because one thing I know about men and their pride, I was just about to ask, how did you feel when she said that? Because I know how it worked. Well, go ahead.
So my pride was like, man, I don't need no money from her. I'm gonna struggle. I'm gonna do it. But then in reality set in, do what? Because you ain't got that. You know what I'm saying? So, I end up going to the school, and I talked to Muhammad, and Muhammad was like, listen, you can make the payments. So it don't matter. Just make the payments. So I knew that was a door being open because they didn't do that for nobody but me.
Oh, okay.
And so I went into school, I gave them the payment and started going to school. But I already been driving truck already. I know how to drive truck. Okay. So I give them the payment, I go to school. And each and every day I'm going to school. She made sure I got there. It'd be times I sit to school and I'll be like, she'd be like, what you doing, babe? I was like, no, you want me to grub her you some food or something, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, it was something new to me. I never had anybody do anything for me. So it was kind of new. So to move forward, I went to graduate. I went to school and I went to graduate, and the school was telling everybody, hey man, we're gonna send this guy. This is the best guy we got in our school. You got to throw it at him, see if he can pass or whatever. I passed. Like I passed out of I think it was 66. I got a 61. So I didn't fail, but that one thing, and that was a lady cut me off. So I end up getting my CDL. So I got the CDL. So it's the funny thing about it. Everybody want a CDL, yeah, but when you gonna get the job? Because nobody don't want to give you a job. Your first time you just getting it started. Yeah. So now I end up going, and I went to Waste Pro. This is February. I went to school from March, April. And then after April, I got my CDLs. I got the job, started working in June, July, August, September. I'm still working the other day right now, And I got my own truck. I got my own route. I got my keys. I got 2 sets of keys. The master key. If I want your truck, I go get your truck. That's how much favor I have been had since I've been home.
I love that.
And so and I got engaged. I took on ownership, and stuff like that. And I want to say what I was saying about family. It's important. A lot of people don't visit people incarcerated. You need to visit them because they're confused. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of them are lost. A lot of them don't know really what they done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so you turn your back on them. So now they're in a place that's shut down where nobody wants them. And then you turn your back on them. So they feel like they're lost. And so when they come out, guess what? They are lost.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if it wasn't for my family, me opening back up to my family, my fiance, I probably would. I ain't gonna say probably. I knew I would have went back,
Yeah.
right back to the
That
street.
support system was able to help you,
That's
to
what
motivate you,
right,
to keep you on the right
right.
path.
That's what got me where I am now. And I be speaking to the guys on the job.
Good.
You know, man, y'all know y'all saying y'all want to act like that
Mm-hmm.
because I've been there.
Right.
I've been there saying a dude stabbed to death.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there trying to help my homeboy. This dude stabbed him in the head. When he pulled the knife out, his skull was on the knife that they
Mm.
made. I'm sitting there, they pumping him and blood coming outside. I've been there.
Yeah.
So it's not it's just it's an action thing.
Yeah. It's nothing glamorous about
Nothing
it,
about it.
too.
You go
Just
you know the guy that go in there, oh man, I went in there, this and that. Oh, that's the one that was in the corner scared.
mm-hmm.
He was on his bed, or he wasn't the one that was really in
Yeah.
there like that because it's nothing to talk. It's nothing
It's
boastful
nothing to
about.
brag
No,
about. It's nothing you not happy you in there. Just even if you can move around in there, however you move around,
yeah.
it's still not a pleasant place to be.
I went to the box right before I came home.
Mm.
Bought my phone. It wasn't my phone, my bunkie phone. My phone was
Mm.
still on my phone, but being in that box and being away from your family, being away from people like that is even in prison you have a connection. So when you away from them, it does something to the mind. Prison
Mm-hmm.
is a mind thing, and it
Yeah.
will mess your mind up to the point that you just lost.
Mm.
It's not it's not nothing nice enough. For real.
Yeah. So would you say the mental was a lot of the battle?
That was the biggest battle.
Yeah, for sure.
Biggest battle.
So since being home, I know you're on probation. What has probation been like? And like, a lot of people, they complain about their POs and all that. And even though I do know your PO, that don't mean you gotta clean it up.
Yeah.
I really want to know, how has your experience been with your PO? How has probation been? How has your experience been since you've been out? Because as we talked about before earlier, when you said you took probation before, you realized this is a setup. Like, you ended
Right.
up doing something. How has it been this time, and what's the difference? Because you have longer this time,
Right.
right?
Right.
You
3 years.
have, yeah, you have longer on probation this time. You have the one year more mature. But do you think that dealing with probation, has it been different this time outside of your maturity, and how has it been dealing with your PO?
Well, when I first got out, they had my paperwork all wrong. So the supervisor and the probation officer got together and was like, "Hey, we got to get this together because this could mess you up." And they went and they was like, the case was so they was like, "Man, we not finna. Hey, y'all don't use this," but they was like, "We not finna really be pressed because we see this is like bogus.
Mm-hmm.
We see this case was really like a bogus case. What we got a job to do. So what I do is do what they say do.
Right.
That's what I do. They say go to work, I go to work. They say be home at a certain time, I be home. But my mind state with probation, um, I'm just bold to say this like this. I got God on my side, so there's nothing nobody and no man can do to me right
Right.
now. I don't fear that because He'll put them in subjection. When even if somebody want to try to do something, because probation they'll say is a setup. It's
Mm-hmm.
only for those that don't want to do right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you don't want to do right, that's where you're gonna mess up at. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So I know I don't put myself in those situations. I can go and hang out or whatever, this and that. I could have went back to my friends, but the only friend I got is my fiance. That's all I need.
Good.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
So look, and speaking of what you said, if you could have made those choices and stuff like that, we all know what you said. It's a split-second
Just
decision.
quick.
So if this is gonna be our final, our wrap-up question, if you could give one piece of advice to someone watching, specifically young people watching,
Right.
of advice of how to make sure you don't go down the road of where you end up incarcerated in jail and all of that stuff, what would be that one nugget you would want to give them, that thing to have in your head before you get out and make that split
All
decision?
right. Being again that I heard over and over again numerous times, they said that if they just could have just take it back, you can't take back something that's already done.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can do is think about it before you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just like, I know a lot of people, they're especially, I'm just being real, the poor folks. We're always uptight, we're angry because we want things and can't get them. And this is what I raised my kids on. I have 4 kids. One drive truck, the other one is a supervisor. The other daughter, she has a daycare, and then my other daughter was in the army. So
Okay.
they're successful.
Good.
And I tell them a lot of times that if you set a goal
Mm-hmm.
and you don't, first of all, set a goal, okay? And when you think about it, how are you going to achieve that goal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then what are you doing to get to that goal? And if you set a goal and you don't achieve it, it's not the goal didn't make it. You didn't make the goal.
Got you.
So the mind state that you have to say is that I'm not gonna let anything get to me. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
and the first thing I want to say to the youth, you'll say this: I'm never going to prison.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never getting in trouble. Okay, how are you not going to prison? How are you not gonna get in? So what are you doing? Okay, and you got these guys running the street with these guns or whatever. First thing, prison.
Yeah.
First of all, the police see you, he gonna shoot you on sight because he don't have to pull it. He just gonna shoot you and say you pulled it.
Mm-hmm.
So stop running with the guys that's really scared. Because if you taking a weapon and walking around with a weapon, I mean you scared.
Yeah.
Drop the weapon and become the weapon. Go and learn how to defend yourself from somebody. That way you ain't got to worry about carrying a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your mind has to be changed. This is what I want everybody to understand. If you listen to the podcast and listen to what I'm trying to tell you, change is the only way that you're gonna make it. You can't still be the same. I just told my fiance the same thing, and I was explaining to her all day, and she just, "Oh, you talking? You got to listen to what I'm saying." It's because change.
Mm-hmm.
I told her I couldn't be with her the old way I was.
Yeah.
So if you want to do something, you got to get the old out and come with the new.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you do that? You change.
Yeah.
Change people, places, and things.
Mm.
The people that say, "Oh man, you straight this and that," that's the one that ain't gonna write you. That's the one that ain't gonna give you no money.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that ain't gonna come see. But what you gonna try to do is go to your girlfriend or try to go and do what he can do. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to change what you're doing. That's
Yeah.
that's all. I can't say that's one word. Change.
Yeah.
That's
A
it.
good gem. That's a
Yeah.
good nugget. All righty. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. Now,
No
before we
problem.
close it out, I'll let you give a final thought. You can even sing a song because it sounds like you can sing because you keep on talking about when you were singing in church. You
Yeah,
can
you
do
know what I'm saying?
whatever you want to do. You can give a final thought. You can sing a song. You gonna close us out today.
All right, well, I'm gonna give a final. This is the final thought that you see me sitting here today, smiling and laughing. I went through a lot. I cried a lot. You know what I'm saying? Being in there because I was innocent, but because I put myself in a situation to where I'm back again. One time is all they need. That's all they need is one time. But you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? My mom used to always say, you know what I'm saying, Lord, do it for me. Do it for me right now. So she would always sing that when she look at me. She was like, Lord, save my son. Do it for
Mm-hmm.
me, Lord. So what I'm saying to y'all is do it for yourself. Change. Do it for yourself because you got your mom, you got your sister, you got your brother. Those people are the ones that you need. And if you don't change, those are the ones that's gonna have to help you. And your mom ain't gonna be, how many times I seen people coming and crying, guys, man, cause their mom dead, the brother dead and stuff, and they can't do nothing
Mm-hmm.
for it. Every time I went to prison or jail, somebody died in my family.
Mm.
I never forget my mama died and I was laying in the bed and they called me in the bed and I was in Polk County jail. The same charge,
Mm.
the trafficking charge. They called me and say, man, come to the office. And you can't get that time back.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can't. So the only way to get time is to change, to save your time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for that, Eon.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
No
And
problem.
change is the word for the day. Eon, I want to thank you again for taking the time out to do this
No problem.
podcast. If people want to know how to get in touch with you, if they want to follow you on the socials or anything like that, go ahead and tell the people how they'll be able to reach you.
Okay, my own Facebook, my Facebook page is Elon Lomax, just like my name. Nothing special. You'll see me up there, me and my fiance, and I also have a TikTok page. I was already finna do it, TikTok page, and use it as a stepping stone to explain it. So go to TikTok, it's the same name, same thing. Facebook, same thing.
Alrighty. Make sure you all check Eon out. Again, this was the First Day Out podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you would like to reach us, all the information will be in the link below. And until next time.
Deuces.